All right. So to Rahim's, if people on the other call, I mean on this call, if you look at Rahim's question in the group, so he was saying that he's trying to add the function, still no use or something, right? So if you look at line number 5 in WhatsApp, his screenshot, he has put something like g underscore form dot get value of particular customer, and he's validating the customer. In fact, like he's checking whether the customer is Daniel Zill, right? But if you see in catalog item, usually user field, we will not keep it as single line text. It will always be reference. So when you put it as a reference, what happens is when you try to read the value, it is nothing but the sys ID. I mean, you try to read the sys ID of the value. It's not like a free text. So here you have a field called on behalf, right? So let me show you when you try to do, you give an alert and try to see that what happens. Okay, so this person is right now system administrator, right? Now what I'm trying to do is, see, there's two way you can run a client script. One is like properly write a client script and put an alert. The other way, like a developer method shortcut, is you use your keyboard shortcuts Control Alt Shift J, right? So JavaScript executor opens up. I will put that as a note for you. Control plus Alt plus Shift plus J. So this opens up JavaScript executor, which helps you run any client side codes, right? So now what I will do is I'll put alert g underscore form dot get value of the backend name of this field is on underscore behalf. Okay, so I'll put on underscore behalf. I can put it like this, so you could see that it shows some 6816 something like that as sys ID, right? So if you try to identify what that is, it is nothing but it is a sys ID of this specific user record. System administrator, right? I'll show you. So I'm clicking on to the system administrator and I'm jumping into profiles. So you could see that 6816479, right? So it's a sys ID of this particular user record. So likewise, you got that only 6816F7, right? Same. Whereas if I try to print request type is a drop down, right? So what is the backend name of request type? req, okay, request underscore type. Let me print that. That will show me proper string like text. Get value of request underscore type. Okay, right now we have the value as none, hence it is showing like this. Let me switch it to like this. Okay, I'm choosing request for self. So now I'll try to print show an alert message of my request type. Now you would see that it is self, but in fact here it says request for self, right? Then what is the difference between request for a self and self is, if you look at this variable has two things. One is front end value, the other one is back end value. What I'm doing is I'm going to this variable, right click configure variable. Okay, so there I can identify that it is a select box and you have a front end text and a back end value. Front end text we kept it as request for self and back end value we kept it as self, right? So that is why when you try to put an alert, it shows only the back end value, not the front end value. Clear? All right, if this is clear, I'll be able to get into our actual session for today. Any other questions before we get to the actual questions? I will tell you what we are planning to cover today. In business rules, you would have already seen okay, let me tell you something. In searching, right, you don't have to type like business space rules and all. If you want to look for business rules, like business rules spelling is like business space rules, right? So you just put es. Es means the ending word of the ending letter of the first word, space, and followed by uh, the second word full text. Full text are just, like this. I'm trying to say that for in order to search maintain items. Okay, so we used to developers used to put it like this: n space it. It is no shortcut. It is nothing but first word last letter space followed by starting of the second word. Right? I just put n space it. So n represents maintain or anything, any first word finishing up with the letter n, and then the second word starting up with the letter it. So I'll get like this. Alright, so I was telling about business rules, right? I'm giving you this explanation because you shouldn't wonder, like, okay, she's typing S space rules, how this is coming. So the logic is such that last letter of the first word followed by the second word. So I'm going under system definition business rule, looking for the recent updated. Okay, so the other day we were discussing about before update, before insert, after update, after insert, and async business rule, right? So there were two other components that we have not yet covered in terms of business rules. That is query business rule, and the other one is display business rule. So let's look into query business rule for today. I have kept few business rules already open in screen. These are developed not by us, but out of box it was already there in the system. So let me explain what this is. So the name they've given for the business rule is user query, and it runs on the table sys underscore user. Let me close everything else. Okay, so it runs on the table sys underscore user, right? So I'll go to sys underscore user dot list first of all. So before querying means like looking at the records, right? So system is telling me that actions nothing is defined. In advanced, system is checking for the first level of condition if the session is interactive. Why this? What is this keyword interactive? Is nothing but there are two ways you could access a record, right? Like probably in an API, like in a web service call, a integration call, you could try to access a record. The other one is like in an interactive session like this, right? In client side, like you sit on a laptop or some system, and then you look at it in the screen, which means that the screen or the session is interactive. So this represents that people are not accessing from web services or anything. People are accessing on the screen, like on client side. That is the meaning of is interactive. All right. And if the logged in person, gs.has role admin means the logged in, the glide session person has the role admin. Admin not, right? Means just the ulta of whatever I said now. Um, the person does not have the role admin, or the person has the role user admin, right? So if you don't have the role admin and you have the role user admin, at that time what happens is people will be able to see the records that are only active is true, which means that you will not be able to see inactive records. So let me filter down like that. Active is equal to false. Okay, now I see one record in the entire system, right? Let me deactivate it, two more records. Like I will choose two more records to be deactivated. Show matching. So there are three records, right? Let me impersonate some ITL user. So there's one account called ITL user. This person has proper ITL roles. I will choose this person itself. After choosing this person, I will just refresh or duplicate the screen. You could see that it says no records to display, right? And total records it shows is also 932. And if I filter out the active, you can't see any other records, which means you can't see any false records, like inactive records you can't see. The reason is because of this particular query business rule. Let me turn off this. Okay, I'm disabling this. And then again impersonate the same user. Okay, this one got saved properly. Now I'm going to impersonate the same user. Now I can see these three records, right? So you understand that whatever was stopping is this particular business rule. So with this understanding, I'll tell you again. So what this script is looking for is, before you try to access a record, like you're trying to query, right? Query means like looking for or accessing, right, in another language. So before even looking the record, system is evaluating whether the logged in person does not have the role admin, right? The ITL user we chose, right? This guy, this person. This person did not have the role admin, condition satisfied. Or the person has the role user admin. Either one has to satisfy. So this, since this person satisfy the first condition, he will be able to satisfy, to move into next step, meaning accessing the script. The script tells me what current represents the table that you have defined here. In the current table, they will be able to see only the active query records, right? Only those records they will be able to see. So that is the reason, this person was not able to see not only direct records. Let me tell you in another way. Let me take you to incidents. So right now we are in self-service view only. Only because of that we are able to see few fields. Let me switch my list view to default view so that I get access to multiple records. So here there are few records, right? Let me open Bud Richmond and Beth Angeline. What I'm gonna do is disable their records, user records, like their profiles. I'll disable it. Active is false. Okay, just Bud Richmond's profile. I have disabled it. Now I'll do show matching. Now we have this business tool already activated. So I'm gonna impersonate this ITL user guy. Right? Even in the preview of the record, they will not be able. But otherwise, let us assume Bud Richmond, right? So I'll put caller is Bud Richmond. I'll do a magnify. I'll click on the magnifying glass. So I'll put Bud. You can't see any record, right? You can't even try to filter down to the user records. You understand the difference now, right? Since I had this filter already preset as an admin, so after that, after 2 minutes, I impersonate as this lady ITL user. Now, if I refresh, fine. Fine. Even then, if I try to access the record and click on this Bud Richmond profile, I will not be able to see the data because I have a query business rule that is stopping me to look at profile of an disabled person or an inactive person. Now that's fine. That is understood. And also, I'm trying to say that the role of the query business rule is that you can't even look at those records in this search also. Like I can't just, if I put Bud Richmond's name also, I will not be able to find it. If I put somebody else's name, like who's active, their names I'll be able to find. So these are the places you generally query, right? Even in filters or anywhere, you will not be able to see those records. So this is a simple thing, right? You can either put it like current dot add query, um, active is false, or email is empty. Okay, I have like say 15 records wherein email is empty. So let me do one thing. Let me change this logic of the script. So I'll put it in a way that email is not empty. Like if somebody is not an admin or anything, they will be able to see the records wherein email is not empty. Okay, email, comma, operator, not equal to, comma, empty. So I'm changing the logic in such a way that the person who's logged in, if they are not an admin or either if they are a user admin at that time, they should be able to see only the records that are active, also the records wherein email is not equal to empty. Right? Any questions with the new query that we have added? I will switch back to my access. I'm gonna save this configuration that we have done.
Email should be filled, right?
Um, Email should not be empty.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that people who are not admins, right? Not, this means not, people who are not admins or either has the role user admin. This represents or, right? This pipeline symbol represents or, and double ampersand represents and. Okay, yeah, this one represents and.
So here the condition is, did you write the condition or it was out of box condition?
It was already there. So instead of this, you could just um, you could put it like in conditions. If you could bring it, fine. Like in filter conditions, if you could bring some default, like um, in user record, if you could bring it, fine. But we are trying to get the access of logged in person, right? This filter condition will be able to fetch only the fields of user table, right? Like active is true, email, phone. So all these fields are uh, relevant to user table. But if you want to identify the person who's trying to access the record, it can be someone else, right? You wanted to check something else other than the fields before evaluating, then you might have to end up putting a condition like this. So if you put a condition like this, what is going to happen is only if condition satisfies, it will go to script section, otherwise it will not go. So your syntax is not fine. So what I'll do is I will put it here so that you can understand the curly braces and everything. So together system is checking if the person does not have the role user admin or the person does not have the role admin. They should have at least one role. If they do not have both the roles, then what will happen is, right? So if you look at this bracket, this entire bracket, before that only this not is there. So you have to imagine in a way that this entire condition returns false, right? Because I'm putting a negation here, a not operator here. So if the screen is interactive and at the same time this entire condition is not satisfied, then followed my script. Now my script, what my script tells me, it tells me that people can satisfying this condition will be able to see only the active queries, active records of this table. This table represents current, and also email is not equal to empty. Only those records you'll be able to see. That is the script we have kept. Okay. So now that we have saved it, I will try to impersonate the ITL user again. I will refresh the screen. So here I'm trying to choose 100 records per row. Okay, so what we will do is we will either change it to encoded query. Active is true and email is not empty. We'll run this and we will copy the encoded query and we're gonna paste it up here. Current dot add encoded query. Right, saving it now. ITL user. I'll try to put a log to understand if this condition is satisfied. Let this get saved. Okay, this condition is satisfied, hence it's going to this thing. Alright, so what I did is I removed the complete condition, which means that it's gonna apply for admins also. So after removing this condition, I just reloaded the screen, so I'm able to see only one record. The reason is because in query I have set in a way that add query email is itadminexample.com. So what happens is I'm able to see this person's record only. Now I will restore this condition again. I'm gonna save this up, and then let me impersonate this ITL user person. I will refresh the screen again. So I could see that there's only one record being available, right? Reason is because um, we had modified the query such that, show only the records wherein email is itexample.com, itadminexample.com. So you could modify your condition according to your requirements. So the importance of query business rule is even before the record is fetched from the server, it will do a validation whether the logged in person condition satisfy the condition and all of that. Only after that it will return the output. Right? You could see that impersonation. Okay, I'll tell you why we are not able to do end impersonation. Um, Reason is because so we restricted the privilege of admin to look at other people's account, right? So in order to end impersonation, you have to impersonate to your account. Now you will not have access to your record. So that is the mess up we have done. So the only option right now we have is login.do and re-login again. Okay. Now let's go and change the script as soon as possible. You understood previously why I was not as even an admin I was not able to impersonate. The reason was because I did something like this. Like I removed, if the person is so and so, they will not be able to look at anybody else's record except for this record. So what happened at that time is, as ITL user, I was not able to even see system administrator user, which resulted me that I will not be able to impersonate back to anybody else's account except for this person's account, right? So we will have to be careful when playing out around with admin access. All right. Any questions with regard to query business rules and what is the use and where do we actually require query business rule? So you have a requirement wherein they're saying that.
Can you please explain about the condition?
Okay, I'm copying this and pasting here because only then you will understand the syntax. GS represents glide system. Okay, using glide system, you could get multiple components like you could get user object, you could get session, you could get glide date and time, anything of the current system values, right? So the GS API gets you everything in that. You're trying to get only the session to see if the session is an interactive session or not, right? What does mean by an is interactive is there is two ways you could access a record generally, right? One is through API integration, web services call, and all of that. The other way is like how we are doing right now. Like I'm in the system, I'm interacting with the system, like putting up a filter manually, using keyboards and doing stuff. That is what you call it as an interactive system. System can identify if the records are being seen, seen from web services or from user interaction. How it will happen in user interaction is there's one table called transaction logs. Okay, system logs transaction. So there are some people in the market who uses proxy, right? Proxy as in like they will share their credentials, like they will share their credentials with somebody else, and you might be in the US and somebody from Hyderabad could work for you. So at that time you will have to be careful that you should don't share the credential. Instead, if you require some help from somebody from other location, you don't share the credentials of yours, which will be against your company policy. You always connect in a Zoom session or webex session, and share your control, your machine control to them, and they will be able to operate. I'm trying to tell you why you shouldn't do is because in service now, anybody who's an admin role can see. Let's say I'm a system administrator, right? My profile is system administrator, my name is system administrator. So I can see from which IP address Lakshmi is logged in. I can look at this IP online. I will be able to find that it is logged in from Chennai and all of that. So if I impersonate, not impersonate, like if I access Rahim's credentials, right? So I will be logging from Chennai using Rahim's credential. If somebody wants to track down, right? So they will just go to transaction, show matching Rahim, and then look at the IP address on online. They will know that, oh, this was logged in from Chennai. There's a difference, right? You shouldn't share your credentials. This is personal instance. You're doing development and all of that, fine. So once you join your organization, if you need any technical help or something, don't share your credentials. Just sit with them in a WebEx and get your help sorted. Okay. Okay, now I will come back to our query business rule. Why did I jump is because we were talking about is interactive, right? So system knows from the transaction logs. These transaction logs will be actually printed only when people are trying to access the data, like in screen. If it's through web services, some postman, REST API call, and all of that, you will not have transaction logs like this. So system knows which device you're using. Yeah, I think, yeah, it will tell you what are the device that you're using and all of that. IP address, yeah, Windows, right? So and which browser. So all these data is available in the system for anybody to access who has admin role. Like your pure developer also will be able to look at these data. So system also knows whether the session is interactive or not. And when system identifies that session is interactive, and this double ampersand represents and, okay, and this condition, this entire condition. I'm clicking on this bracket parenthesis. You could see that this entire parenthesis is not right. So this entire condition is not satisfied. At that point, it will run into the script. Otherwise, let us say the condition is not satisfied, it will not even look at what is there inside the script. It will stop right there. Now let us see what is there inside this parenthesis. In parenthesis, I'm telling somebody has a role admin, or this pipeline symbol means or, okay, or the glide system means like glide system logged in person has the role called user admin. So the people have to have one of these roles. If they have,
Yeah.
fine. Hmm.
What is a dot is interactive means what does it mean?
Okay, is interactive is one of the functions of glide system. Let me show you. There are several glide system APIs you have, like gs.get user, gs.get date and time, gs.get session. Like this, you have several APIs. Among them, is interactive is one of the functions that you have. As I told you, is interactive means, I'm repeating this again. Let me know if you don't understand. Okay, it's interactive means like somebody is accessing the system real, like not a bot, not a bot, a real human is accessing. How do you identify whether a bot or a real human? If somebody, I told you, right, when there is a transaction logs available in the system, it means that it is a human doing it. If it is through REST web services, see, without even logging into some screen, you can access your records, isn't it? Through REST API, there are several sources of integrations and all, right? If somebody is trying to fetch that record through that way, it means that it is not interactive. If somebody is sitting on the screen and doing things, like on client side, it means is interactive. Clear? Let me know if there is a question on that. Okay. So we were talking about glide APIs, right? So you can see glide record is one of the API. Glide system means GS. So glide date and time, all these are the APIs. What I can do is, I'll tell you. um, okay, I will share a few things to you. um, Generally, if I put it like this, right, if I put it like this, I'm look at the links, kind of links I'm getting service now and non-service now also I might get it, right? Like for example, let me say user access. If I Google search user access, what's Google will give me results. It will be giving me results across any uh, any folders, right? Not specific to ServiceNow. But if you want to read something specific to ServiceNow on user access, what you'll do? You'll put user access space ServiceNow. This is how Google search work, right? Now you have a custom search engine which was developed by a web called SN Guru. So these are people like who develop communities. So they developed a custom search engine. I used to bookmark. Like if you can see, I have a bookmark of that. What it does is, now the same user access keyword, I will put it here, and you can see that whatever result I obtain, everything is from ServiceNow only. I did not get anything apart from ServiceNow. So it helps you saves time uh, to filter down to the documents that we are looking pertaining to ServiceNow only. What I'll do is I will give this link to you guys in chat. So you just make a. Okay, is my voice not audible now? I could see Rahim's comment saying,
It's audible, but can you post that in WhatsApp group? That link.
sure. For now, I'll just put it in my notepad. Okay, and I'll put it in the WhatsApp group as well. But for now, I have sent it in the um, this go to meeting chat as well. This is one thing I wanted to share, and there's another thing. um, so you have few communities like this. For example, let us say you have a question now, and what you're doing is you're asking me that question, right? Hey Lakshmi, I have a doubt, and this is not working. So you have a community. In fact, ServiceNow community, there are so many developers, like they will answer to your questions. There are WhatsApp groups and all of that, right? Like that, we have a proper community. If you see that, this is my community dashboard. I'll send this link also in WhatsApp. I want all of you guys to register in community. What will happen is, going like after 1 month, you require a help in a script, like you're writing a script and it's not working. Okay, it could be a simple thing or a big thing, doesn't matter. You just have to detailedly put your question in this community. So you have to post a question, and definitely some or the other people will answer you. Now, coming back to the point of why people are answering, is because when each person answers, they will get one credit points. So in ServiceNow, you have a concept of uh, ServiceNow community leaderboard. So ServiceNow recognizes um, people who help other people, right? Okay, this is partner wise leaderboard. But if you watch your LinkedIn properly, like people ask questions right now. Like let's say, Rahim asks a question. Why do you think I need to answer? Because I'm your trainer. I'm obliged to answer you, right? But if it's from somebody else, why would I have to spend time to answering them? That is another question, right? So you would have like lakhs and lakhs of questions posted every month on this forum. Like every day there's nothing less than 50 questions posted on this forum. Like people will be asking like few questions like this. How few proper questions. See, how to hide a submit button, and what is that not mark attribute. Like this, people, if they don't know anything, they will definitely ask here. So somebody is asking how to add a button in the email notification. So if you look at this, this was posted 1 hour ago and somebody responded to it 33 minutes ago. Now, why do you think Mukesh is so much interested in answering them? Because he's spending some time in this, right? Is he going to get money? No. What he will get is he will get points. Like if I look at Mukesh profile, you can see that it says Mukesh is a ServiceNow developer and he has 280 points. So what ServiceNow does is the more the people has points, it will develop a leaderboard. Like people having like 10,000 point, 20,000 points every year, they will be getting goodies from ServiceNow, and they will be highlighted in ServiceNow website. Like, oh, these are our community developers. Right, you get that recognition. So for that, people try to be very active in community portals and they respond to you. So this suggestion I'm giving you, that in future if you join any WhatsApp group, I'm good, like there will be people for you to help, if you need some help for free, something like that. Otherwise also you have community forums, you can ask questions and get your answers, but you can't expect the answers right away, right? It is going to be like a both side help. So you'll have to wait. See, this guy posted 44 minutes ago, you got it like 10 minutes later. It's like that people answer back to your question. So look, this question was posted 1 hour ago and still nobody responded to it. If I know the answer for it, I can respond. And if they give me a thumbs up, I will get 1 point. So this work like this. I have put this community link as well. And yeah, so I would want you to have access to these two things, and of course, developer.servicenow.com. Through that only you logged in this, right? You also have access to lot of documents, developer documents as well. So that will all be really helpful for you. Fine. So we got a little deviated. Let me come back to what we were explaining previously. Yeah. So this is interactive question. Is that answered? Do you have any questions further to that? All right. I take that as a no. So in the meanwhile, I will also tell you what this versions is about, right? So every time you click on something and you save a button, at that time a new versions gets generated. Right now I'm in default update set, like I've not created an update set. Let me change it to TST dev v3.0. So what happened is every time I saved up a record, it created a version. It could be in a default update set or it could be in a proper update set, doesn't matter. If you open up these versions, right, let me open up this one. Okay, when I open up that one, it will have a payload XML. It will tell me, I'm clicking on this place, okay, this XML orange button I'm clicking. So it will tell me what it was originally. Like it will tell me in like XML's the XML parameters. There was a field called description, there was a field called condition wherein this was the value put, and there was a field called script. Inside the script we had current.active query. So all these you will be able to see this here. Like for example, let us say for the same business role 10 developers are working. You don't know like exactly 2 months back who updated this, and based on who's updated and what was the exact configuration change happened, right? So if you want to identify that, you have to look at the versions and identify, okay, what was changed. Now you identify that, like, this is the proper version, like uh, 1946, right? The timing is 1946. Right now we are 24. So you identify that, okay, we need, this is the correct version. These are all is like incorrect. We need to switch to this version. So what you have to do is you have to open that record and click on the button called revert to this version. So let me tell you what are the links we have. We have compared to current show related record, revert to this version. Let me duplicate it. Unpin. Let me duplicate it this 3 times. I will click on first link, compared to current. So it will give me a proper comparison of the code before what was it and now what was it, like that, so that you could evaluate. We disabled it.
No voice from you.
And we currently have it like this, right? So you are able to see the difference in the code using the related link called compare to current. Now you could take an action, as in you want to revert means what? Like switch back, right? Revert means switch back. You want to revert to this version, or this merge is nothing but like, instead of going to this version and instead of going to this version, you want to go to this updated version, right? Like you're changing few fields and then clicking on save merge means, okay, I have modified few things and together combined I want to have it in my system. At that time I will give save merge. Otherwise, if I want to go to this exact version, I will click on revert to select version, right? And now you have this button called revert to this version. I have already explained you, the moment you click onto it, it will go back to that previous version, nothing much. And if you click on related record, nothing but it will take you to the query business rule, because the name itself says show related record. So the related record is this only. So it will take you to this. Is that clear? Any doubt so far?
So when do we use this query, business query?
Okay, so I have another example. So I told you, right? See, for user table, what was the filter? Only if you're an user admin, you have a role called user admin, or you have a role called admin, ADMIN, which is a super admin role. Only if you have that role, fine. But if you do not have that role, then what are the records you will be able to see? You will be able to see only the records that are active is true, right? Current or add active query. What is the use of this query? You're giving instruction to the system that people who do not have either admin or user admin role will not be able to see inactive users records, right? Because in an organization there could be 100 people joining every day and 100 people leaving. Maybe like in a big organization there are possibilities, right? At that time inactive records are going to pile up. Like if you look at last 10 years, there is going to be like 20,000 inactive records. Why would you want to show your users, right, your peer employees, disabled records? Why would they want to track down the existing database, right? In Outlook, will you be able to look at existing people user records? No, right? You will be able to see the people who are only currently part of the organization. Similarly, in ServiceNow also, we want normal people. We want normal people to see only active records, not the inactive records. So the inactive records are only accessible by admins and user admins. So that is the requirement. Is that requirement clear? Like, I mean, business wise, logically, does it sounds right to you?
Yes.
Hmm. Now, same query business rule. I'm showing you an example where they've applied an incident table, right? Now, who do you think should see the incident? Um, let us say, Mr. Mr. John raises an incident stating that, hey, my laptop is not working. Who do you think should have access to? Like I am an ITL user. ITL user is somebody who can work on a ticket, right? I can have access, fine. And apart from that, John can have the access because John is the person who raised the ticket. He can have access, and people assigned to that ticket can have access, and people members of the assignment group can have access, fine. But who else do you think should have access to? Probably John's manager. That much only, right? You don't want to show John's incident or issue related stuff to any other people, isn't it? So let us say that is your requirement. Now, what we are going to do is, this is an existing script. I will just read it out for you what this means. This I'll explain. I'll come back. Hold on. So we're putting a filter on current. Current table is nothing but incident table. Incident table, we're putting that caller id, caller underscore id means nothing but that caller field, right? In incident you have a field called caller. If you do a right click, you will see that the backend name of that caller field is caller underscore id. So that caller underscore ID is you. U is there, right? Alphabet U. U is nothing but logged in glide session, logged in person's user ID, which is nothing but right now for me it is my sysID, my user administrator sysID. This user administrator sysID, okay? Adding another or condition, either this condition satisfied or opened by. In incident table, you have another field called opened by. Opened caller, you have another field called opened by. It is not there in the layout. Let me bring it. Opened by, okay? So the logged in person should be belonging to the caller field. Otherwise, opened by field. Otherwise, there is a field called watch list. You have a field called watch list, right? So if I'm a login person, I should be part of this watch list. I should be part of the watch list, or either I should be the caller, or either I should be the opened by. One of these three conditions should satisfy for me to look at any incident. Right now trying to access incident 55, okay? I should be Christian, or I should be the opened by. Opened by is home, system administrator, right? So I should be system administrator, or at least my name should be there in the watch list. One of these three conditions should satisfy, right? Is this line understandable? Line number 8 and 9. If this is so, I will further expand and
Yes.
explain to other lines, right? Now this line will satisfy only for people joining into this thing, okay? So let us go one line after the other. So first line is, it says for run a function called restrict incidents. This one I can just put it like this also, but I just have to make sure that my function name is also. To think that, oh, this is a keyword called restrict incident, nothing like that. Just I'm writing one script, and I am writing that script in a function name, like I am putting my own frame of function name. I can put it like this also. So same name I have to call it here. Only that difference. It is no keyword or anything. Keep that in mind. So I am calling this function. The moment script executes this one, it will look like this. Control copy, control F, like this. System will automatically do. And whatever is between line number 3 and 11, that will start running. Okay. Now, so whatever is line number between 3 and 12, it will run. Let me look at line number 5. So here it says that you always keep your cursors like this, so that you know this bracket starts here and this bracket ends here. You will know to understand the logic. So it checks whether the glide session logged in person has a role called ITIL. ITIL not, right? So this entire sentence opposite, meaning the logged in person has role ITIL is false. Okay, if the logged in person does not have an ITIL role, and at the same time, the person does not has a role called SN underscore incident role. So there's another role called SN underscore incident read. So if somebody does not have this role, and they also do not have this role, and system identifies that the logged in session is an interactive session, it's not like a web service or anything, at that time, whatever is there in this line number 5, sorry, 6 to 11 will execute. Clear? Line number 5 is clear, right? Any questions on line number 5? Okay, I take that as a no. Now you have something on line number 7. So this line number 7 is nothing but like, when you hover, if you see an underline, so what you have to do is you have to do a right click. You will see show documentation, or either you will see something called open definition. If you see open definition, it means that it's a script include, and that link will take you to script include inside the ServiceNow. But this one, if I click here, it says show documentation. So as I told you, we have several glide APIs, right? GS is one of the glide API. It's a glide session API. Like that, you have an API called glide plugin manager. You don't have to worry about, these things. These things, glide plugin manager and all will come only in out of box scripts. you would not have real-time use cases to use like this. So what this checks is, uh, there are plugins. There are several plugins. Do I have a plugin name called com.snc_spm which is active, and at the same time, does the logged in person has a role service viewer? If it is so, return means like don't put any filter. That's all, I'm good. If not, if this condition is not satisfied, what it will do, it will go to next number, line number 9. In 9, instead of the name variable called you, it is just populating, it is just getting and storing the variable view with the value of the logged in person's id. After getting that, system is restricting the filter that uh, current represents instance table, putting up a filter, adding a query. Caller ID is this logged in person, or condition opened by this logged in person. Again, an or condition. Watch list contains, right? Because watch list is some field you could add more people. Like I can keep on adding 100 people also here, right? So contains, the keyword called contains. So only those records people will be able to see,
Here
right?
dot represented or in 10th line.
No, dot does not represents or. This or condition keyword is there, right? That only represents or. So this is like a concatenation. See, I told you add query, add encoded query. You remember? Add
Yes, yes.
query means you put one filter. Add encoded query means you do a right click and copy query. So this particular concatenation of query is an alternative to encoded query. So this one is an alternative to encoded query. So either you can put encoded query or you could develop a script like this. With regard to ServiceNow, anywhere, like if you want to look at the syntax or anything, you don't have to worry. You just have to have the knowledge of identify the reference script, so that you know, okay, the script is called where, and you will be able to derive the syntax from that, right? So coming back to this plugin. So when I'm explaining this plugin, let me tell you, um, in left navigation, you remember I was telling you how to activate a plugin and all of that. So similar to how a field has a front end name and a back end name, plugins also have a front end name and back end name. Anything you see in ServiceNow has a front end name and back end name. So the back end name of the plugin is com.snc.spm. Let us look at the front end name. The front end name I assume is based on the comments. SPM premium plugin. Let it load. We'll do a search here. Right? I can filter down based on the backend name that I know also. So I had put com.snc.spm. So it tells me that, okay. So there is several plugins with this matching keywords. So com.snc.spm.content, com. No, this I can't take. Yeah, com.snc.spm.content. This is the plugin. So front end name is like um, service portfolio management taxonomy content pack, but the backend name is com.snc.spm. Right, and again, like other day I told you, you will be able to categorize it based on to understand whether this is a free plugin or a paid plugin, like that. In personal instances, even paid plugins you could activate it, not a problem. It will not cost you any charge. You can explore the functionalities of the paid plugins also. In personal instances, it's not going to cost you any charge. But in company instance, in production, as I told you, every company has instances. Like for example, if you belong to a company called technoscript, okay. Imagine your company name is technoscript, so they will have instance like technoscript.servicenow.com. This will possibly be their production instance. Like that, they will have technoscriptdev.servicenow.com, technoscripted stage.servicenow.com. So ServiceNow also knows which is a production instance and which is sub production instances. So for production instance, if you activate the plugin, they will charge you. Charge you means like they will not ask you, hey, pay this money, nothing. Every year there is a license revision cycle, right? It is not visible to your eyes as a developer, but management teams know. When they send billing every month, people send billing, or quarterly, or annually, at that time they will run a report to see how many paid plugins are being activated, and accordingly they will put it in the bill. It's like a postpaid. You will know only after activating, that too after several months when they generate a bill. So I'm trying to tell you that if you want to explore any plugins, you can do it in personal instance. Otherwise, you can do it in company sub-production instances. But before you do it in production instances, know the business understanding logic and ask them, are you sure you want to do it, right? And give your management that this is a cost included plugin. And if they ask you how much is the cost, we do not have visibility to it. There will be product managers for that, they will take care of it. But just as a developer, you have to let your client know that this is a cost incurred, right? So any questions with this, with this thing? If not, we will get into the next topic, display business rule. All right, so can I take that as no questions on this? All right, so let's all take a 10 minutes break and we'll meet again at 9:20, right? So try to be back by 9:15 or maximum by 9:20. So we'll resume the session with display business rule at 9:20. So display business rule is this one, right? This one. So once you choose display, the other options gets hidden. So I will explain in detail query display business rule and also some parts of the ACLs today. So that is the agenda for today's session. All right, guys. So I will go on mute and we'll all visit back in another 10 minutes. Thank you. Hey guys, I'm back. All right, so let's get started with the display business rule. Display when condition is display. Okay, so these examples are not really helpful. I will give you an example, Okay, so let us assume you have a field called category inside this layout, right? Let me remove it from the layout. So I'm removing the field category from the layout and saving it in incident form. Okay, now I have a requirement that I don't want to show the incident category field to the user, but however, I want to do some validations. Like for example, let us assume my requirement is that if category is inquiry or help, I want to set my subcategory as disk. Let us assume, okay, this is the requirement. Now if I just put Control Alt Shift J and put like a variable x is equal to glide form dot get value of category, I will not be able to get it. Reason is because I'm trying to run this and okay, sorry, I have to put alert x. So in the variable called x, I'm storing the value of my category, and I'm showing a pop-up of the alert message with the value that I obtained in the stored variable x. Right, what do I get? I get empty, right? The reason is because if you look at incident table 55, record number 55, if you look at incident number 55, I can see category as inquiry or help. But why am I not able to see it? When I run it, it says empty. The reason is because in the client side, in the form, it is not available, right? That is why you're not able to see it. So let us say on form, you don't have a value, but however, you want to fetch it from the server and bring it to the client. At that time, what we would do is display br category. Okay, let me put my name as like that and choose the table as incident advanced true display business rule, and what I will do is variable x is equal to current dot category. Okay, so I'll put g underscore scratch pad dot catig is equal to, okay, so I'll tell you what this g underscore scratchpad variable does. So g underscore scratchpad is a variable which will help you to fetch the data from server side and access the data in the client side, right? But you will not require scratchpad variables all the time. Only if you have a requirement that you don't see a value in the form, in the client side you don't see it, but for some reason you want to validate it, but at the same time you don't want to show it to the people, but you want to validate it. At that time what you will do is you will retrieve the data from the server. From the server means like from the backend means like business rule, right? Because these business rules are server side functions. From the database server or the table you will retrieve the data. While retrieving you will store it in a variable like variable x, like that, y, like that, and access the data in your client script. Now if you put where x is equal to current dot category, and in client side, if your client side if you put x, you will not get it. You need to store the variable as a scratchpad variable. This is the syntax. 1 minute. Okay. So you not just put it up in a normal script, you have to declare it in a scratchpad variable. So now let me show you how do you bring this. So instead of putting glide form dot get value of category, I will put g underscore scratchpad dot category. So let me say stuff. Okay, now I shall open up my JavaScript executor, and do you see? I can see the value called inquiry, right? Because this incident's, the value is inquiry double five, right? Ticket number double five. The category value is inquiry or help. Backend value of inquiry or help is nothing but inquiry. And instead of accessing, like in client script, if you see, always you used to put g underscore form dot get value of, right? That will work only if system can see that the client side. But what we did is we removed it from the layout, right? When we removed it from the layout, system will not be able to see. Then what is the other option? The other glide ajax, right? If you want to fetch your data from server side, there's two options. One is glide ajax, which we've already learned about. But if we want only specific field, I don't want to process any information, I just need that in that one piece of information from the same form. Then what you have to do is just declare a scratchpad variable in your display business rule, and that same variable name you have to put it in the client side. So once you put it, you will be able to read the data, right? On a nutshell, to tell you, display business rule actually runs whenever a form is displayed from the server to the client side. From server, whenever a form is displayed to a client side, it will run. And the benefit of this is you could make utilization of your g underscore scratchpad variables, so that the fields that are not accessible in the client side from the same form, that can be stored in a scratchpad variable and then later called upon in the client script as per your requirement. So this is a typical example of using it. Now I just had put it in JavaScript executor, right? Let me put it in client script. For testing, I just showed it in JavaScript executor, but in real requirements, you will put it in client script only. Fetch server data from incident form. On load. Save it. So after saving this, I will refresh the form. Reload form. So it says that inquiry is the category applied, right? So x is g underscore scratchpad dot category categ, that is nothing but the scratchpad variable that I defined here, which stores the value of the current forms category. Any doubts? So this is the use case, typical simple use case for the display BR. Any doubts, guys? All right. So I will disable this because I don't want to see a alert every time I load the form. Now let's get into ACLs. So any question so far with query business rule to the display business rule? Nothing, right? So we will go into ACLs. Let us look at the ACLs of ACL. The word ACL represents access control list, right? So list of configurations that you have defined to control the access of people across tables, across fields. Like for example, I can define access control for this entire record. Hey, you should not see this record at all. Like that I can define. Or else I can put only this field should not be seen, other fields and all can be seen. Like that I can put it. So now let us try to identify the ACLs that we already have in an incident table. Okay, configure security rules, and you have all the ACLs. I'm taking one sample ACL we have. When I open this, it is read only, right? So the read only reason is because I need a security admin role. So I will get the security admin role only if I elevate my profile to security admin check and then okay. After that, if I refresh any of the ACLs, at that time I will be able to edit them. Okay. So this one is a record ACL, right? And write means like editing of a table. For example, you have you can read the data of the form, right? Handled by read ACL. You are editing description, you're editing description and all, right? It is handled by write ACL. And sometimes like the level of access or restrictions for people to delete a record, probably an incident record also, let's say. So like that, this you have ACLs for every single typically so you have something called incident dot none, incident dot star, incident dot let's say short description, right? So these are the different types of ACLs. What these means is incident dot none means that like the entire record, but incident dot stars means the entire fields of the record. Incident or short description is a specific field of the record, right? So you could see that incident dot none and you can choose incident dot star, otherwise you can choose a field, like a short description or any field of a particular instance. This of the star represents. This one is a specific field, right? So I will just put up a read ACL and I will say incident dot none, which means a table level ACL, okay? Advanced enable, admin override true. What does admin override is? Whatever logic or restriction I'm giving does not applies to admin, right? I might have written a logic that if a logged in person is assigned only, then you'll be able to see. I might have written any restriction, but fine. But for admin, this will not apply. Admin can see everything. So if you have such a requirement, you will always enable admin override true. But if you want the restriction to be applied even for admin, I mean, it doesn't matter you're an admin or not. If you don't satisfy this condition, you cannot see this record. If you have such a requirement, you have to uncheck this. Since we're testing, we'll just check this one. We'll have this checked, and then um, we will put it like if um, current dot opened by is not equal to gs dot get user. Answer is equal to false. Right? So let me save this. The moment I save it, what will happen is this required roles will automatically be populated with a role called um, SNC underscore internal. If I had given any existing roles, fine. But if I don't give any roles, system will try to populate and role. Otherwise, what you need to make sure is the condition follows like this. Whatever roles you have defined here, that should be matched, and then the condition should be matched, and then the script should be matched. So this plus this plus this. Here we have not given anything, fine. Here also we have not given anything, fine. So finally, system will look for the script only. Now, if anybody apart from admin, because this logic will not apply to admin, fine, right? If anybody not an admin tries to access a record wherein they are not opened by, like it was opened by somebody else, then they will not be able to see the record. It will return false, right? So as I told you, none on read table, right? Read ACL. Let me check how many such ACLs for incident table. So I'm going typing ACL. So I'm going to this module, and in filter condition I'll put incident show matching read. So I will only for many ACL we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 6 ACLs we have, right? So what does a ACL means? Like it is a key to your room. Um, like let us say you have it's like a main door, okay? Incident.none is like your main entrance door. Let us assume that you have 5 keys to one lock. There's one lock put on your gate, main gate. It has 5 keys. So you might having a special key, and your father might have a different key, your mother might have a different key, but surprisingly all these keys, if let us say ACLs.
Hello, your voice is getting stuck from last 20 minutes. It's like ups and downs.
Right. So uh, table there is one ACL like this, and this now machine learning admin or machine learning report user, then you will have access to read the records. You need this key, or else if you satisfy this condition represents that approval then you can see the incident. So this condition should satisfy. If you don't have access to this, at least this don't even have this report user and that we have written. Um, this will come back to the last, and we're saying that some
Hi, your screen is completely blank. From last past 20 minutes, we are unable to hear your voice completely.
Can't hear anything, Lakshmi. I am not able to hear anything.
Also, So please explain ACL once again because
So you need to satisfy this condition at
probably
least in order to see. It's not like accessing key, it is like denying access kind of. Yeah, tell me.
can you again
Was there
explain
a
the ACL?
question?
Yes, please. Please explain.
Oh,
Because we were not able to listen to you properly. The screen
sure,
is
sure, sure,
blank. Yeah.
sure, sure. Yeah, I got it. I just now see the message. Fine. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Need- Fine. So what is there's only one lock. One lock is like access to the main door. But you have 10 fancy keys. Like uh, on one key it is written as maid, and another key it is written as watch, and another is written as house owner or mom. Another key is written as dad. The other key it is written as son. You need not be a man, you need not be a maid, or you need not be a watchman. Anything is fine. You at least have one of these five keys. You will have access to the record. So as I showed you in this place, in order to access as in read the incident data, there are six keys available in the system right now. Actually, originally only five were there, and one we created. There were five keys available. You satisfy the condition of these keys. Like you should be either a mom, or a man, or a maid in order to access the main. Like like that. So this says that you need to either have one of these two roles, report user or ML admin. Then you will be able to access the table. Okay? Then you don't. This means or current.caller ID is logged in person, or current.watchlist contains, index of means contains, right? Watchlist is a multi-value field. It can contain any number of users. In that one of the users, your name should be there. If you satisfy this condition, then somebody has a role called incident read, they should have access. So of keys, you have access to at least one, right? Then only you can see the incident. Now, in order to test, we need to find a user who does not satisfy into any of these conditions. It is difficult to find a user, right? So disable for testing. I will disable all other ACLs except for my ACL. Um, in actual requirement, you can have 10 ACL, 20 ACL, but for just for testing, I'm showing you with one ACL so that you understand. Like we can switch back and show you what is happening. So this is the active ACL that I have. Rest all is disabled, right? Let me see what is this active ACL. So this tells me that this incident record when current by opened by MS this thing. So I'll put else answer is equal to true. All right. So it tells me that if opened by person is not same as logged in person, then they will not have access. Otherwise, they will have access, right? Now let me try to add incident. I'll put incident dot list. Now I can see 68 records. It's surprising, right? Because I disabled all the ACLs except for one. In that one also it tells me that I should be the opened by, then only then I can see. But if you see opened by, I can see the records that were opened by ITL, Bud Richmond, Don Goodliff. Why? Reason is because there is a field called admin override true. This is what is giving me access. Now let me disable. What that admin override does is, if I'm admin, I don't have to satisfy any of this condition, right? It's like a landlord. Like I can to any gates. I do not even require a key. It is like that. I have disabled that
Hello.
option. Now, after disabling, let me read it. Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes, please. Okay. Previously, if you see, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Previously, I was able to see 68 records, but now I only able to see 23 records. Why? Even though I'm an admin, I'm not able to see. Reason is because for incident.table, there is only one ACL, because all other for testing we disabled it, and on top of it, we enabled this admin override true, which means that like admin does not get a special privilege. Like what ACL script is, the script will not even evaluate. It will give me the complete access. So only for people other than admins, the script will validation will happen. Okay. Now I will refresh this form, and I will take any record that has been opened by, see, I'm taking this one. This one is opened by ITIL user, right? This one is opened by ITIL user. Um, Caller is Carol. It has no connection with the system administrator. I have opened this record. Yeah, for the first record, okay. I'm able to see it. I don't have issue. Reason is because I have enabled this admin override rule. Now let me disable it. After disabling, if I refresh the screen, I will no longer see 68 records. Again, back to the 20 plus records only, I will be able to see as per my logic. Did it got saved or not?
Hello, Lakshmi. Can you explain this
Yes, please.
concept tomorrow?
Okay. Because of internet issue, or you're stuck up somewhere?
Yeah, because of internet issue only from your side. Not even me, but everyone are
For
unable
everyone.
to hear from you. Yes, yes. You can see the
Okay,
messages in group.
sure, I got it. Yeah. All right, sure. Okay, so today we have covered up query business rule and display BR. Tomorrow we'll see in detail the ACL. Okay, we just have 5 more minutes, so that's fine, obviously. We'll cover up the entire thing tomorrow. But just try to look at the recordings if there is something with regard to ACL that you can check. Otherwise, I'll start ACLs fresh tomorrow. All right, guys. So I will stop this sharing.